Good morning and welcome back to Hoth. So today is like day 3. About to finish up the bid today. That's the goal. So last night I got a little bit more framing in, got a second beam across the front. So I need to finish up the center supports because my plan is to split the plywood down the middle so that the seam will rest on this. And I have a whole laundry list of other items we've got to get done by like 4 o'clock today because we're hitting the road at 6 tonight to go to Chattanooga. So I've got the bid, panels on the walls, still have to make window shades, a bunch of stuff. So basically just going to dive in, hopefully, and get some video today. Yesterday the camera just kept dying because the temperature was sucking all the power out of the batteries. It's actually warmer currently than it's been all week. It's 24. So hopefully it'll warm up above freezing today. So what I've done is notched the 2x4 so that the support beam going across has somewhere to sit, and I can attach it from the side as well as from the bottom. I've been using some pocket screws on some of them. I still need to do this one. That way there's 2 screws in it. It also gives a little bit more surface area for the plywood to sit on. I don't have any intention to put beams across this right now. We'll see what that is once we put the plywood on. We have like 3/4 maple, like cabinet plywood. So that's going to go on top. It should be pretty sturdy. So to put these center supports in, I'm going to use the T-square to check it off the front and the rear to see what the center line is. So I measured the exact center on the back when I made a mark, and confirming it with the front, it looks like it is correctly square with this front. So if I measured these corners at an angle, I have the same distance. So this bid frame is pretty square considering most things in the van, they're not really square, so kind of surprised by that. I'm gonna run a line, so when I run these supports in the middle, it'll be sure to be in the exact same place. So when I cut the 2 sheets of ply, I can use the original, straight edge off the sheets to actually meet here, and then use a template to cut around the edge so that I have a fairly tight fit. There'll probably be extra sticking out just like these 2x4s. Once we figure out like a permanent wall or paneling solution, we may need to cut some off of this and possibly even the plywood later down the road. But for now I'm just going to fill the gap and take advantage of the space, and then we can trim later on once we figure out what we're doing with the actual walls. So on the sides that are fully exposed, I'm just putting 2 screws straight in, and then I'm going to come back through and put 2 pocket screws on the sides that you don't have exposure on. So the supports are in, so I'm going to go to a tape measure and some cardboard and start measuring out this piece of ply for the top. I got this first template cut. It's kind of pieced together. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. But basically it's following the edge around these, and I have it sticking out. I wanted to get pretty close to the back door, not too close so I could ever actually hit it. That way we have a little bit of a ledge back here to put stuff on. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit and then stencil it out on the plywood and make my first cut. So this looks like it fits pretty good. There's a little bit of a difference here in the frame of the door, so I'll cut it all out except for this section and then kind of remeasure it and cut that little piece off. So I got the bid platform in. Now I'm just going through and securing it. I'm doing 2 things. One, I've made some measurements and indicated where all of the screws are going to go. I'm putting in 2-inch exterior screws so that things like moisture and stuff won't bother it, but it has good grip. Since it's only going through about 3/4 of an inch, and then the 2x4s are vertical there. But I'm setting a pilot hole through the plywood so I don't split it at all. Then putting a small recess for the head of the screw so that it sits nice and flush below the surface so the mattress and stuff won't snag on it. So it's worth pointing out that not everything is always to plan. Been in a little bit of a rush to try to get this done because we're leaving this afternoon on a trip. And I kind of botched one of the corners and left it missing. I corrected it on the other side, but sometimes going a little bit slower would resolve problems like that. So I'm going to grab some sandpaper and smooth some edges out real quick, and then start cleaning this up some and work on the front trim board to hold the mattress in place so it doesn't come flying out when we hit the brakes. So it's crunch time. I need to get the van back together so that our dogs can be in here and they won't get into the insulation or anything like that. I got a lot of sawdust and stuff to clean up. So I'm gonna try to get these panels back on. I've cut some sections off the bottom since the floor is higher now, so I can put them back in, and then places where there's actually wood, I'm just gonna put a couple screws to hold it in, just as like a temporary barrier between stuff hitting the insulation and messing it up. And then clean up, get some plastic sheeting in the floor, and then put the rubber mat back over it. Basically, I'm just putting the plastic down right now as in case we spill something or my dog pukes or something in the car, which has happened a lot. So the wood doesn't get messed up because it's not been sealed or anything yet. Eventually all this wood's going to be pulled out and probably polyurethane or some kind of sealant on it to protect it from moisture. So I'm going to get busy. So on the bed, I have a 1x6 in the front and a 1x6 in the back. The 1x6 in the front is actually flush with the bottom of the 2x4 structure from underneath. So it only sticks up about a little over an inch on the front here, which should be just enough to keep the mattress from sliding. I guess I'll find out. I'm concerned that maybe it needs to be another inch at least, but I'll find out. If not, I can throw a bungee cords over it to hold it down. Pretty much wrapping up. Just working on a lot of little odds and ends, small details. So in the back, I have a bunch of little hooks I've basically put everywhere. A little gear line that I've hung up. This way we can hang all of our helmets and bike clothes and whatnot back here with the bikes. And we can hang like any kind of wet clothing or coats, whatever. As far as holding the wheels in, basically I have a little bungee up top and then a bungee across the wheel, which holds it pretty good. It might bounce a little bit, but it'll work for now. Up top, as far as framing went, I went ahead and put another board in the back here. This will be the edge of where the mattress will sit, and a couple little 90 brackets. And then these are countersunk, one down at an angle, one straight in for pretty solid. And then as far as underneath goes, it's just one straight up that's also countersunk in. I threw a pocket screw in here for this gap so it's nice and solid. Be interested to see how it goes the first couple nights. This, I think, is going to be a great spot to put our phones and whatnot that's charging at night. I have like a 10-foot USB cable that I might be able to run all the way back here. I did relocate the 12-volt plug. By factory, it's actually right here in this little hole. Obviously, it was going to be a problem, so I just popped this panel off and then remounted it in here. I think this only works with the ignition switched on. I haven't tested it yet. If that's the case, then we can still run a USB off of this, but it won't charge anything at night. I also got some plastic panels back in, cut them a little bit shorter to fit in the original spots, And then I threw a little stencil underneath the wheel well liner and threw that liner back on. And then just have it held in place with a couple screws for now. Eventually they'll get boxed in with wood because it'll become a platform to hold the electronics and the battery and the water and everything else that's back here. Added a quick little coat rack. It's gonna hang a bunch of bags and gear up here so we're driving down the road, it's not hitting the dogs. And then most importantly, a beer bottle opener. I do have some plastic sheeting on the ground in this first front section. I'm gonna put the rubber mat back in. The reason I put it down is in case the dog pukes. I don't want any of that vile nastiness on this wood because it'll probably stink forever since it's not really waterproofed. So I'm gonna finish cleaning it up. I'm gonna get the rubber mat back in, go get the mattress, and throw it in, and then we'll almost be ready to roll. I did get a little anti-skid pad for the mattress, and I still need to put some holes in the platform for breathability underneath the mattress because we have a memory foam, and I don't want any condensation to collect underneath it. And then the rest of the anti-skid mat we'll actually put underneath the dog beds on the floor, so when the dogs are laying on it when we're driving, because we intend to keep them pretty close behind the back seats, they won't be sliding everywhere. Because the factory rubber mat is more of almost like a plastic rubber. It's not very grippy. All right, so it's 6:30. It's already dark out. We're about to hit the road to drive about 4.5 hours to Chattanooga. Spend a couple days mountain biking, ringing the new year. Get the van all loaded up. I got the bed strapped down just so nothing comes loose and hits the dogs. Bikes are in. I screwed a Tupperware down to the ground so we could just throw stuff in it. We don't have any cabinets or anything to store stuff right now. So we just got to grab the cooler, which will also work as our step stool to get into bed. And then grab our dogs. We're ready to roll.